Okay, welcome to Redo. Something happened on YouTube. Welcome to News Stripped Down, where I dig through the news and weed out the nonsense. 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's probably just BS, anyways. Today is June 24th, 2026. It is Wednesday. Hump day to you guys who matters to anyone working a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It is 19 degrees Celsius. That's 66.2 degrees Fahrenheit to you guys down in the States. And let's start off with birthdays. Today's birthday in 1842, writer Ambrose Bierce, famously known for writing the book The Devil's Dictionary, known for his dark humor and satirical writing. He passed in 1914 at the age of 71. And today in 1850, Horatio Kitchener, Secretary of War in World War One, known for his Lord Kitchener Wants You poster during the, World War One. He passed in 1916 at the age of 65. He was like, the what's his name? Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam wants you. Yeah, he was like one of the first people to do a poster like that. So he was like the British Uncle Sam. The military wants you. And today in 1895, heavyweight boxer Jack Dempsey, he held the world title for a heavyweight world title for 7 years from 1919 to 1926. He was 87 years old when he passed in 1983. Today in 1911, Jean Frango, he won five F1 championships in the 1950s. So pretty much every year he won. Well, half of that tenure, he won five of those races, F1 races. He passed in '95 at the age of 84. Today in 1931, golfer Billy Casper. Yeah, he was 83 when he passed in 2015. And I don't normally talk about golfers and stuff, but Billy Casper, he was definitely an interesting character. He was like, he was smoker, drinker, he'd really two F's given. He was like the John Daly before John Daly. Quite an interesting character, Billy Casper. Yeah, go check him out if you're interested. And today in 1944, rock guitarist Jeff Beck, known for his playing in the Yardbirds, he passed in 2023 at the age of 78. And today, Mick Fleetwood is 79 years old today, born in 1947. That's it for birthdays. If you guys like the news like this, here Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time, 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's just BS anyways. And let's get back into the news. Today is June 24th, 2026. It's Wednesday, you guys. Hump day, blah, blah, blah. And it is 19 degrees Celsius. That's 66.2 degrees Fahrenheit to you guys down in the States. And yeah, get into the news here. So the IAEA, this is going to be interesting. The International Atomic Agency have now got a map of all the almost 500,000 tons of nuclear waste where it's stored. The IAE is intergovernment or intergovernmental organization that tries to keep track of nuclear materials and applies safeguards to ensure nuclear materials aren't being diverted for other purposes. Approximately 322,000 tons remained in storage, while 126,000 tons of almost the 500,000 tons was able to have some recoverable materials. 41% of that 300 of the 322,000 stored are stored in wet pools next to functioning or defunct power stations. 31% are stored in dry systems, including concrete caskets, metal containers, storage buildings, and modular facilities designed for safely containing radioactive materials. And then there's ventilated vertical storage units that account for around 50,000 tons. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. So there's Sellafield. You guys should check out Sellafield. It's in the UK. They're one of the main facilities that take care of radioactive materials and store it. They were encasing some of their leftover materials in like a glass material, concrete glass material. And some people were saying, they shouldn't be doing that because some of the materials they had encased in this glass and concrete, could have been refined and some of it could have been recoverable. But you know what? Whatever it's said and done, it's stored away. Let it be. Um, so yeah, it's quite interesting. At least they're starting to keep track. And then is this good that they have a map of where all this product is going? Could this be like, shouldn't this stuff kind of be like a bit of a secret? Yeah, I know there's the public should know, blah blah blah, all this stuff too. But yeah, if the public knows, then pretty much, what's to stop somebody from just bombing one site there? So. And yeah, these wet pools and stuff that they're doing, yeah, these a lot of this stuff is still just being stored in like either defunct or still operating nuclear power plants. So they're gonna have to figure out some way of doing that. But I'll get into that in a little bit here. So, Coca-Cola Bottling Company down in the States here has confirmed plans to shut down its factory in Northampton, Massachusetts by the this year's end. The plant produces non-carbonated beverages like teas and juices. This isn't really news to the 175 people that work there, due to the fact that there was plans in 2023 that they were already going to close the plant back then. So they got a couple more years out of the facility. Uh, just a little bit of job security, I guess, but yeah, not very good. Uh, and then in April of last year, Coca Cola announced another planned closure of its bottling facility in American Canyon, California. And what's kind of funny, at the end of April, Coca-Cola showed revenues of $12.5 billion. That's 12% increase for their year end. Like, okay, really, you're gonna close these facilities? 175 people. Your company makes 12.5, already made $12.5 billion. How is this gonna hurt Coca-Cola to close this facility? And there's 175 people without jobs, and then there's going to be more people without jobs in American Canyon there, California. This just goes to show, like, companies making all these billions of dollars, and for them to get rid of like a bottling facility and a manufacturing facility with 175 people, it's like it's nothing to them. But this is what these big corporations are going to do. They're going to start weeding out these smaller branches of them and worry about more industrialized, more uh, I don't know, like they won't need humans to be making this stuff. Everything probably just be like that guy like Bob and Doug McKenzie making sure there's no mouse in the bottle. And then over to Manitoba here, just to fill in this page here, I want to talk about gas prices. So gas in Manitoba right now is averaging around $1.53.9. So let's just say $1.54 right now per liter. The Manitoba fuel tax as of January 1st, 2025 has been 12.5 cents per liter on clear gasoline and diesel. And then as of this September coming up, September 7th, that federal excess tax is going to be coming back. We're going to have that extra 10 cents on top of that. So we could be looking at prices back up to $1.70. So I don't know what's going to happen with the federal government, whether they're going to try and keep this going for a couple more months after until something kind of gets straightened out with the Strait of Hormuz and until the gas prices start to level out. But there is some talks of some of the provinces right now that maybe the federal government is going to put back in the excess tax, and then the provincial governments will remove their provincial taxes for kind of just to share the damage. You know what I mean? So There's still a little bit of talks, but I have a funny feeling that the federal excess tax on fuel is going to probably stay a little bit longer than what they had said it was going to be. So yeah, longer than January or September 7th. Oh, so yeah, if you guys like the news like this, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm here Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time. 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer is just BS. So Canada's Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney, has inundated the process to list three major projects under the Building Canada's Act, and this is to fast track approval. And I don't know why these projects need to be fast tracked in the first place. It's really kind of, I don't want to talk crap about Carney or anything, but yes, it's like people are like, oh, some of these projects, like, hey, maybe if we show some of these other projects that don't need like uh, any explanation from the First Nations, don't need any uh, uh, like not geology. I just lost my train of thought. Um, environmental checks and stuff like that. All these things could be easily bypassed. So the first project that they're gonna fast track here, well, that they announced that they're gonna fast track, it's totally worth it though, is the Mackenzie Valley Highway in the Northwest Territories. And then you have the Grays Bay and Port project in Nunavut, and then have, get this, this is great, I've been talking about this for a while. It's so funny, the stuff that I've been talking about, and now it's happening. It's so good to hear stuff like this. It's like, wow, like, I'll explain. So the third major project that they're going to be doing is the Deep Geological Repository Project. For what's this repository project for? Anyone? Bueller, Bueller. This repository project is for nuclear waste. Wow. And that'll be in Northern Ontario. Yay! We're going to have a place to store our nuclear waste. Yeah, considering, all these plans here to start building nuclear power, like, yeah, again, finally, it's great to see that we're sitting here like learning to walk first before we're trying to run. There's all this talk of like bumping up our infrastructure. Yeah, here, it's okay to build more nuclear power plants. We're going to have more power. Okay, what are we going to do with the product after? What are we going to do with this spent fuel waste? So there we go. There's the answers. Holy, finally, it's good to see the government really starting to think ahead, so we don't have these issues after the fact. It seems like we're always like putting projects ahead of ourselves and not realizing the repercussions that are going to come along with them after. It's like, yeah, nuclear energy is great, but what are we going to do with the spent fuel waste after? Yes, some of it can be repurposed, but most of it can't. So yes, perfect, great. Now we have a place to store this stuff. Awesome. About time that we started thinking ahead about things like this. And a little bit of Manitoba. Yeah, let's just say this is Manitoba news. So 11 indigenous-led wind farm proposals are coming up to compete for rights to sell power to Manitoba Hydro. The River Cree, Dakota TP, Ojibwe, Gamble First Nation, Swan Lake First Nation, Manitoba Métis Association, all in with support from Quebec and Toronto-based partners. And this is good. This is great. I don't, this, you know what, why can't the First Nations here in Manitoba, I don't know why Saskatchewan, we'll probably see something tomorrow about this, after this just came out today. But yeah, let's have something for them to rely on, like some form of money coming in. And I don't see anything wrong with this. Like First Nations in Alberta, they have oil rights, they have mineral rights. Well, here, let the First Nations here in Manitoba, they want to do wind farming and stuff like that, let them. And I'm totally against wind farms. And you know what? Once they start building them, then they'll start to realize, oh, yeah, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But if they want to have some type of like, extracurricular funds, why not? Like, yeah, they're gonna have like compete. They can sit there and compete with Manitoba Hydro, but they can also be using that money for the First Nations communities as well. Yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. There's been the federal government been promising fresh water. I know it's a God given right to have fresh water, it's in our Constitution to have fresh water. Yeah, but, this could go towards other things like housing, other programs, you know, well, most of the schooling stuff's covered anyways. But I think this is a good thing, and I think they should really, allow them to be able to have access to be able to sell power back to Manitoba Hydro. It's just extra money for them, and it takes some of the burden off of the federal government too. Like it's kind of a win-win, but like my thoughts on windmills, not a good idea. Just there's no way of properly disposing of them after. That's the biggest issue. There's windmills that are sitting there. They were just manufactured incorrectly, and now they're just piles of them sitting there, and no one's willing to dispose of them properly. So I think there's a big lawsuit down in the States over this. And then a little fun news about BC here. Canada Border Services seized a half a ton, and I mean a ton, TONNE, of opium hidden in large paper rolls. These paper rolls normally used for newsprint and magazines and flyers and stuff like that. Apparently, this container has been sitting there on the shipping yard for a while now. I guess they just got around to x-raying it. But this is unusual. Like, literally, a half a ton of opium, of high grade opium. This is very, very unusual because you don't see opium grade like this coming into Canada, and you're not going to see opium like this on a street level. Drugs like this goes to a higher tier of socialites for sure. And yeah, you're never gonna see like quality of stuff like this on the streets. Why would you give junkies and stuff, stuff when you could get them, fentanyl or something, it's cheaper to produce, it gets them higher, blah blah blah, and then has them come back more. You know, this this just goes to show that there is such a secret underground market when it comes to like high level drugs and high quality drugs. Like, what was this opium? You don't see shipments of opium like this coming into Canada anymore. Maybe during like the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then once we seen this transition into, designer drugs, let's call it, bathtub drugs like fentanyl and other things like that. Like, where's the investment in this? That's what doesn't make sense, and there has to be a higher level to all this big deal. And apparently, this shipment came from Singapore. Doesn't say where it was actually supposed to be stopped at, but I think this was its final destination, was here in Canada and BC. And then over to Germany, Eli Lilly and is scaling back planned investments in a new manufacturing facility in Germany over concerns of the government's healthcare reforms. That's crazy. So yeah, this is interesting. So Eli Lilly, Eli Lilly and Bayer. If you guys don't know Bayer, Monsanto's, Roundup, Bayer, major pharmaceutical manufacturer, major chemical manufacturer, pretty much got their hands in a little bit of everything. So Eli Lilly and Bayer, they're pulling out of Germany here on concerns of healthcare reforms. What were they planning on doing at this facility in the first place? If they were planning on what were like, here, let's pull out now because now we're worried about healthcare reforms. Like, what was this going to be, some experimental lab where you're going to be using people as guinea pigs or making like substances and other pharmaceuticals there that aren't like kosher to your standards? Like, what really were your plans with this facility? And just goes to show, like, companies like Eli Lilly and Bayer are not to be trusted. And like, Bayer's already gone through lots of lawsuits right now. They've done a lot of settlements, but a lot of these people that do sue Bayer and these other companies, do you think they really live to get to see their full payout? No, they don't get to see. I knew one guy, he got sick, and was it like 11, no, like 13 days before he was supposed to get his settlement, which was like $11 million. He died 13 days before he got his settlement. So they timed that stuff out. Like, trust me, this is all like almost like the Oliver Tree thing here. You know, like they almost set him up to die. And I'm pretty sure the doctors, they were doping him up really good. That, trust me, the drugs they gave him towards the end of his life, it was not about quality of life. It was about yeah, getting rid of him. And I can't believe he didn't realize what they were doing to him. He seen it coming, but he gave up. They've been doing assisted suicide in Quebec since like 2016. I was there when they allowed that. That's when I got out of Quebec, is because of the assisted suicide. And there was a few nunneries in Quebec City. They ended up digging up over 312 dead nuns that have been there for over 300 years. Well, the oldest one had been there for over 300 years. Dug up all these nuns, relocated their bodies so they could build a skyscraper condominium. And that's when I already felt that Quebec City was an exodus. There's just an energy about that place is not good. And then the abolishment of religion, the assisted suicide, the removal of those nuns, the destruction of that nunnery to build a condo where people are going to live there. Think about the energy. Think about how many people are going to be in that tower with where all those dead nuns were first originally buried. Imagine the energy that's going to come off of that place. The one nunnery I know that's closest to me, yes, there's a lot of energy. Whether the nunnery's gone now, and what's ironic is they put a care home there. You want to talk about weird juju? Yeah, build a care home on top of an old nunnery, and don't tell me you don't see nothing happen there or weird stuff doesn't happen there. So many things that I couldn't explain myself. But yeah, that's when I got the hell out of Quebec. It was just something horrible about that place. Oh yeah, just the energy. But this is Quebec. Their mentality, like they want to abolish religion, all these things. Like if the devil ever did fall, or come back to Earth, Quebec is where he's staying. He's staying in the Citadel, in the basement, in the vault. There, that's where he lives because there's just this energy about Quebec City, and it doesn't feel good. Seen my first chupacabra there. I've had multiple ghosts talk to me on this 100,000-year-old trail. Yeah, crazy. And not only that, the ghosts that talk to me in French and native languages. So the French I could understand, the native languages I couldn't understand. But clear as day, people talking in your ear onto these trails. Something weird and fishy about that place. We got a little bit of time here. Let's do some things. And this is my second time around. YouTube deleted my last live there, so I don't know what happened. I ended the live and poof, delete. And this isn't the first time. Apparently, Cam at CDC Detecting out of just north of Winnipeg, he had the same thing happen to him about 3 days last week. The exact same thing happened. And I had never had it happen. I've had things like this happen, but nothing to this extreme. Normally, it's always somewhat recoverable, but this literally just went poof. So this is why I'm redoing the news right now. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. I'm here Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time. News stripped down, 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer is just BS. So yeah, end off some things that happened. Things that happened today in history. Today in 1497, John Cabot claims parts of North America for England, thinking it was Asia. It turned out to be Canada. Yeah, it turned out to be Newfoundland. So that would have been pretty interesting for him, coming over here thinking of it, China. Like he would have had to have known what a Chinese looks like, right? Or Asians look like, right? And then him to come to Canada and be like, oh, these Asians are funny looking. It's like no, they're Native Americans. But really, when you go way back down into history, we're all Asian. That's literally, we're all Asian. And like, think about it, Africa. You really think you travel all through there and then from like Russia to Alaska all the way down? That doesn't make sense. We're all Asian. We're all Asian, and then that makes sense why like Asians like the way aliens look. You have to admit Chinese people kind of do have a bit of an alienish kind of complexion and look. Not that I'm disgracing. I have lots of Asian friends, but just funny that way. And today in 1509, Henry VIII is crowned King of England. Woo! Whoop-de-doo. And then today in 1812, Napoleon begins his invasion of the Russian Empire with over a 500,000 soldiers strong. Yeah, good old Napoleon. 1853, U.S. President Franklin Pierce, the 14th President of the United States, buys 30,000 square miles from Mexico for $10 million, which is now southern Arizona and southern New Mexico. I don't know. What do you guys think? 30,000 square miles for $10 million. Is that worth it? I don't know. I think that's worth it. I don't know. Maybe not back in that day, but that was a good chunk of land. Yeah, I know that. That's kind of funny. I was gonna say that too. Yeah, Napoleon. Yeah, 60% of them didn't even make it. And then today in 1930, radio waves are used to detect aircraft by the U.S. Navy. Its first form of radar, 1930. And today in 1948, Soviet blockade of the West Berlin by stopping railways, roads, and water access. Yeah, until the Soviet Union finally collapsed in the 80s. And then, yeah, Berlin got put back into normal. The wall came down finally. That was kind of a weird thing. I don't even know why they did that. It was like almost like a forced tensions. Yeah, the Cold War, blah blah blah. But that was like literally like planned, forced like problems. If we always had a division here in Berlin, it's always going to be tensions, so we could play both sides. Like that's what it was. Is just each other playing each other's both sides. Yeah, we've had some close calls when it came to nuking each other and stuff, but really, did we? Did we really think, like, some people say that they worked for the CIA back in the day and they really thought that they could be nuked at any moment in time? Why? Like mutual assisted death? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And today in 2022, the US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Yeah. Thank you, Trump. Thank you. Roe v. Wade, that's the constitutional right to choose. It got voted out on a 6-3 vote. So in 13 US states, it's still illegal to have abortions. And they really can't go after you federally to have an abortion because the way some of the states have it set up. There's protections in place in the state division to be able to protect you from the federal side of it. You can kind of see that when it comes to like weed dispensaries and stuff like that throughout the United States. Yes, it's still federally illegal, but depending on where you are in certain states, yeah, it's legal, but technically it's not legal. Well, you can even go over state lines, not state lines, different county lines, and the laws change completely. You can drink on one side, you can't drink on the other. Where you can only drink beer there, but yeah, you can't drink whiskey over there, which is kind of funny. What is that in Kentucky? Something like that. And then today in 1916, Mary Pickford becomes the first female film star to receive a $1 million contract in 1916. Imagine if you just sat on that, just the interest alone. Yeah, good on her. And then today in 1880, the first performance of O Canada but it was the first performance of O Canada in 1880. But when did the Canadian national anthem? When did O Canada become our national anthem? Bueller, anyone? Bueller, I'll give you guys a minute to figure it out. When did Canada become our national anthem? It was July 1st, 1980. Yeah, relatively new. And then, well, Canada is relatively new when it comes to becoming a nation. You know, we got our own flag. We kind of separated ourselves a little bit more from the monarchy. Yes, we still have ties with the monarchy, but really, we became a nation like fairly not that long ago. So we're still new to this game, but we seem to be doing pretty good. I don't know why we didn't become a nation during after World War I, or even during Vimy Ridge. You know, that's where really Canada should have become its own nation. Vimy Ridge is where we showed like some major influence and major skill on what we can do for the world. But that's it for the news. And like I've been saying all week, you guys, I won't be around for Thursday's show, tomorrow's show, because I already had plans. I got to go help some people and do my part to, help them because they can't really do too much themselves. So I'm going to go do my part to be a better human being and help them out. And yeah, so if I don't see you guys, I will definitely be doing a show on Friday for sure. But if you guys don't pop in or whatever, you guys have a great weekend. And yeah, enjoy the weather. It's quite nice here today, a little windy, but it is what it is. I'm going to take it. Really sucks I had to redo this because I think the first video I did of this at 4 o'clock was perfect. I stuttered way too much in this one. The first one was way better. I was so choked, but what can you do? I'm not going to get too mad about it. YouTube's going to do YouTube things, and you know what? YouTube people are going to do YouTube things, and if you're going to get all fucking hot and bothered over shit like this, then maybe you shouldn't be doing YouTube. So this is why I'm not too angry, and I redid this. I didn't have to redo this, but I just did it because I wanted something there to be there for Wednesday's show because I said I was going to do the show and YouTube deleted it. So it is what it is. I had the opportunity to redo it for you guys, so I did. And didn't turn out as good as the first time, but yeah, like I said, what can you do? No point of getting angry over spilt milk because, like I said, YouTube's gonna do their own YouTube stuff. So, but you guys have a great week, and if I don't see you, have a great weekend. I am out of here. Peace out. See if this gets deleted this time.